Whether you believed in reincarnation or not, the story of the Egyptian priestess who lived for almost 3,000 years will dazzle you. Dorothy Eady continued to have visions and out-of-body experiences. Her main visions involved a man named Ra, who told her who she actually is. Bint Rasht, the harp of happiness. Her father was a soldier, and her mother was a vegetable seller. When she was 3, her mom died, and her dad couldn't afford caring for her. So he placed her in the temple of Komil Sultan. By the age of 12, Bint Rasht took the vows of consecrated version of the temple, but something happened that was never expected. Bint Rasht met the king, Seti I, in the garden of the temple, and they became lovers. Breaking her vows of the temple, she got pregnant. And she went to the priest, and she admitted her sin. The priest told her that she has to choose between going to the trial and scandaling the king, or die. She chose death. She committed suicide rather than facing trial and scandaling the love of her life. After almost 3,000 years, she reincarnated into Dorothy Eady. Dorothy lived in Cairo for 20 years and then moved to Abydos, where she lived for the rest of her life. She tried a lot to work in the temple. She kept sending lots of letters to the antiques department applying for a minimum wage job, as she offered to help with the restoration of the temple. Eventually, she was hired as the draftswoman of the Abydos temple, the place she considered home. She started reviving all the Egyptian rituals. Every morning, she used to go to the Osirion, or the bath, where she purified her body with Osirion water, just like the ancient priestess used to do every morning with a sunrise. Then she walks into Abydos temple barefoot. She also didn't allow anyone to enter the temple with footwear, nor raise their voice in order not to bother the gods of the temple. For her, the temple of Seti I was a place of peace and security, where she was watched over by the benevolent eyes of ancient Egyptian gods. Seti claimed that in her past life as Bint Rasht, the temple had a garden where she had first met Seti I. While she was living in Abydos, the garden was found where she said it would be found. Excavations uncovered a garden which matched her descriptions. After the age of 60, she began working as a part-time consultant for the antiques department, guiding tourists around the temple of Seti I and explaining the symbolism of the painted wall scenes. One day, she went up to the roof of the western side of the King Seti I temple, and she fell into a hole almost 10 meters deep into the bottom of the temple, said one of her neighbors, who was also her student. She stayed there for 2 days. Accidentally, on a windy day, one of the guards was looking for his head cover. He found her lying down there unconscious. After regaining her consciousness, she claimed that she had tapped into the secrets of the temple during these 2 days. She discovered the secret passageway under the temple of Seti I, and she claimed that she knew the place of Nefertiti's tomb. Seti had a dream. She wanted to build a place where people can learn the ancient Egyptian rituals to purify their souls and bodies. She wanted to name it the House of Life. She also left her will. She wanted to be buried in the court of Seti I's temple, or in the ground around the premises of the temple. She also mentioned that her cat and her snake to be buried with her after they had died. In 1981, Seti died for the second time. The last priestess of Abydos temple, Bint Rasht.